Hello, everyone. This is Leo, also known as the Masked Man. I am here with two glorious friends of mine. You may know them as Alex G Music
Howdy.
and Laper Larden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello there.
yeah. And
Sorry, I I felt a little tickle in my throat from the flood spore that I swallowed, but it's okay.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah. And together we're starting a. I don't know. Do we even want to call this a podcast? I mean, it's kind of just us rambling.
Shooting the shit.
Yeah,
Shooting the shit. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's a good way of putting it.
We've decided to call it 3 for 3. Clever, I know. It's a fantastic name. I thought it up in like 5 minutes at 3 a.m. one morning. And yeah, so how are you fine people doing?
Well, it's been a pretty productive morning so far. I've cleaned the house, done some groceries, had a shower and shaved, and that's part of the reason why I was a bit late this morning. So apologies for that. I was too busy like listening to classical music in my head as I'm like putting on the Gillette shaving cream and stuff, and just like going ham. But I think I missed a couple spots, so that's not great. But yeah, doing okay, doing fine. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
vibing.
So we got a regular old Patrick Bateman here, just taking his time. We got Alex. How have you been? What all have you been up to?
Going good.
Yeah.
Been a rather busy Friday. Did my usual routine of like doing uploads, talking to people, that sort of thing. And I made the decision to end my day watching Halo.
Yeah. No way. Same.
I started my day watching Halo.
Yeah. Same. It's terrible. It's awful. I hate it. It's the worst thing I've ever watched.
I'm watching it. I might keep up with it later. Didn't say I'd watch it though.
I won't. It's terrible. It's awful. It's an abomination. It's awful. And I've seen some really bad TV, all right? I tell you. Like it's some of the worst I've ever watched.
Well, yeah, pros and cons, right?
It's not literally the worst thing ever. I wouldn't say that. It could have been a lot worse if it were made earlier or during another lapse in Halo content, like post 2015, that sort of era.
I mean, yeah, maybe. But I mean, like comparing, like I've seen some pretty bad TV. Like I've watched the Arrowverse, for example, and it's about on the level. It's not nearly as soap opera-y, but actually no, even still, it had its moments. But no, it's just terrible. It's awful. I hate it.
We're getting off to a really fiery start here, aren't we? Real cracker.
Yeah. No,
I mean, to moderate opinions, I would say that season 2 has been an improvement on season 1, but that is not saying an awful lot. It's been, lots of ups and downs. I think you've really got to ask yourself, right? If they went out of their way to do, their own thing with Halo, to do their own spin on it, why not just make something different from the start, Like do a different property or something like that, but as its own thing, I think it's hard to disconnect from the gold timeline and the lore from the games and whatnot that came beforehand. It's just it's a bit jarring.
I guess that is one of the things that often comes up when we're talking about the Halo TV show, the fact that it's the silver timeline instead of gold timeline. And so people like to, I guess, argue that given that there's plenty more room to experiment with ideas or have different things happen, that sort of thing. But that also brings the question, at what point is it just something completely different? Another property entirely.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you guys are on the money there. The more I think about it, with the timeline thing, it's more, they introduce a lot of cool ideas. I'll give them that, but and then like 15 minutes, they're just ruined. Like off the top of my head, there's the prison interrogation. Like right in the first few episodes, they go and talk to some schizo about the artifact. You know, what is it
Oh
doing?
yeah, in season one. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I should preface this, by the way. I didn't finish season two. Well, I skipped ahead because by the end of season one, I was just done. But yeah, so they go and interrogate the guy. It's a cool concept. I like the idea of like the Covenant, like psychologically, messing with humans, like trying to probe them and see if they're worthy of the Forerunner artifacts and whatnot. That's a cool idea. But they just kind of do nothing with it. Like they just throw them to the side, and that's it. Um, and then there's the Spartan going rogue with Soren. That's a cool idea. They've tried it twice now, once in the games and once in the shows, and they just I don't know what it is. They just can't seem to get it quite right. Um,
Oh, they do it more later on. Trust me, they do it quite a bit.
it's just I just don't understand. I mean, it's a pretty easy concept. It's a Spartan going rogue, right? It's like you have this cool guy go rogue. It's pretty straightforward, but they just don't. I don't know. It's just what are they doing?
They did set him up to be like the space pirate oligarch sort of guy at the start of it.
Hmm. Yeah, and by the end of it, what is he doing? He's malding because oh my family. It's like what? You're a pirate, dude. You steal and kill, and you feel good about it. What are you like whining about? I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure how far you guys have gotten into season two yet. I don't want to spoil too much, but Soren's character arc takes a pretty drastic turn again in season two to the point where it's pretty it's very nonsensical. Like, he starts off as this character who's been pretty heavily messed up by his augmentations as a Spartan, and wants to get as far away from it as he can, to the point of basically being a very charismatic leader, making his own little empire kind of deal, having a family and stuff, really having dude is set up, right? But in season two there is a very drastic pivot where he kind of like, and again I don't want to spoil anything, where he kind of does a 180 basically, and it doesn't match up with what was established beforehand. And I think that's one of the other issues with the TV show, is that characters tend to turn on a dime and will have very very drastic mood changes depending on what the plot necessitates, rather than what's actually been established previously. And that I thought that season two was bad for that, especially. There's instances where, like Kai, for example, this isn't so much of a spoiler because it's in the trailers and stuff, but the Spartan Threes have a pretty big involvement towards the end of the season, and Kai spends a grand total of like maybe a couple of days with them, and by the penultimate episode, she's willing to die for him, and it's just so it's so out of the blue. Like, she spends most of her time talking down to them and being somewhat belittling, and isn't really their trainer per se, because they're stuck in VR the entire time. Yeah, it, it it is bizarre, frankly. It is it's this weird little oddment of television. And I saw this this like post on Twitter that was going around recently. But it's like the Halo TV show should have been a Mass Effect adaptation, because it's there's a dude who's your protagonist whose life is changed by touching an ancient device. There's subplots of galactic bureaucracy. There's romance options. The main villain is someone who's been corrupted by an ancient evil alien race. It sounds more Mass Effect than it does Halo.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's just me.
No, yeah. I mean, that's I just and you bring up was it Maquis you were talking about, or Maquis? I don't Makey. I don't. How do I say
Christopher
your name?
Walken, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't understand her as like a character. It breaks too much, I feel like, which I get they're going with like a new timeline or whatever, right? But the Covenant took me in. I don't I how their whole thing is that they hate humanity, right? Like, we're the chosen race, not humanity. That's like their whole thing, right? So why are they taking in a human? and like actually like fostering her and whatnot. And I get their ultimate goal was like, oh, when we get the Halo or whatever, we'll kill her, we'll see her burn. And it's like, okay, but why? Like you view these people as beneath you, yet you still use them. I don't
One thing
understand.
I've been thinking about is in the main timeline as well, they need humanity to operate all the Forerunner stuff. So, I one question that was posed about the main timeline was why didn't they do that before, like way earlier, since Truth ends up doing it anyway?
Yeah,
But then in Silver, how does McKee attain the status that she does in the Covenant? Why isn't she just a prisoner or whatever?
yeah, because she's like well groomed to be like basically second in command, right? I mean, even above the Arbiter, it seems like. So
Mm.
it's just odd.
Oh, I think it's an issue of like rarity, right? Where in the gold timeline, there's plenty of people around the place. Humans seem to be a disposable income in many senses because there's billions, if not trillions, of us. But in the silver timeline, it's very much kind of depicted that the amount of, I guess, Forerunner chosen ones are quite limited. You've got Chief and you've got Marquis, and maybe Quan. Like that's still kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in season 3. Quan Bat evolved. But for the most part,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's sort of an issue in both continuities almost. But at least in the gold timeline, like that is the motivation for the Covenant wanting to wipe out humanity, is because that we are the chosen people. We've been, for some reason or another, given access to all the Forerunners' technology and what they've left behind, and the Covenant's way of trying to cover that up is just by wiping us the hell out. I mean, at least that's what I gathered from reading Contact Harvest, but there could have been some retcon after the fact to change those motivations. I'm not sure, but that's always how I've depicted it. It's like this whole empire and this religion is built on this complete and utter lie, and it's on very shaky grounds, and so the best thing they do to try and cover it up is genocide, pretty much, which is a pretty it's a pretty fucked up concept, but it's something that's never really explored in the TV show, I don't feel like.
Yeah, they don't really spend a lot of time on the Covenant at all. I mean, obviously
No.
they focus on McKee, but the Prophets, they don't really they don't explore them any. The Arbiter is just kind of a useful idiot.
Well, I guess you could say that they didn't really start doing that in the gold timeline until Halo 2, or at least until the books started showing up.
That's true.
But then we also have 2 whole seasons of television where we don't really understand the Covenant.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing about the Arbiter, is that like if you watch the show and you don't you haven't played the games or anything, and you just see this elite in fairly generic looking armor compared to the rest of them because they're all grey CGI blobs, talking about how he's been shamed or whatever, you don't really get much of an understanding of what he's talking about. Like, there's no kind of prior context at all. It's just like, oh, this elite is different from the others and is somehow in command, but also isn't. He's like, it's really vague, I think, to a newcomer, and might have benefited from just like a couple of scenes with the Prophets, maybe explaining why he is the way that he is. It's I don't quite get it.
Did see the Prophets in season 1, but
And they were done
didn't
fairly
show up
well.
again at all.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was one of the highlights of season 1 was the Prophets. I thought they did them pretty well for the most part. Like, it was kind of like a weird mix of CGI and practical effects that actually looked decent, and yet in season 2, they don't show up at any interval, I don't think.
Were they actually practical? It didn't really pop out, but that's interesting.
I think they are. I'm sure there's like behind the scenes photos somewhere of like, I could be wrong, take it with a grain of salt, but I'm fairly certain that they're half practical and like the facial animations were done in CG.
Well, I mean, they do
because,
look better than the elites, so it's...
Oh, fuck yeah.
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 And that was another thing too. And I noticed that in your reviews you had talked quite a bit about it, but everything's so gray. Like when they showed High Charity for the first time, I was like, "What is this? This is like, what is it? A mushroom? Like it doesn't. Where's the purple? Where's the blue? It's just there's nothing. It's like I just don't. They can't even get the color grading right, and I feel like if they can't even get that right, why are they handling the property? I don't know.
Yeah. I think it came from this place of like wanting to do Halo but grittier. When you can do Halo and you can do it gritty, but you can still keep the like the general kind of aesthetic intact,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
It
it,
yeah.
well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah,
Oh no, you're right.
if you wanted to do a grittier Halo, I mean, just look at ODST. Like, you just do that, and you could steal the whole thing basically, and there you go, because it's it's all gray and vapid, and it has a point at least, as opposed to just changing. I mean, I'm just gonna call it for what it is. They're basically just aping the Mandalorian, and The Last of Us. It's very, or maybe not The Last of Us. I don't know if I think the show came out before The Last of Us came out. The show. But it's just very like I don't know. It's just gray. It's like just borrow from ODST if you're wanting to do. Which reminds me, they were talking about doing like an ODST show or something, right?
I think there was probably like rumors and stuff touted around, but I mean, uh, it might have been more of like one of those like fan ideas that just sounded better in theory than the actual show we got, and it just caught on.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to me that they're just making it boring. Like, you have this fantastical, almost Star Wars like, property. I mean, it's Halo is very space opera y, but they just kind of like, yeah, we're gonna do the Dark Knight, but Halo. It's like, what?
Do you think there's anything that they're really missing out on in adapting it for television, the Halo story?
Oh, you mean aside from glossing over the entire fall of Reach?
Yeah.
um, I think that they are missing out heavily on the Covenant side of things for sure, because they want that internal bureaucracy political side plot, right? That Game of Thrones shit that apparently every television show has to do to be successful now and pad out the runtime because they don't have enough budget. They want to do that, and I don't understand why they don't do more of that with the Covenant. Like, that is a really interesting. Not only does it give us the excuse to see more of their inner workings as villains, but it also, yeah, just gives them that B plot as opposed to doing it with the UNSC, who I feel like shouldn't be bickering and quabbling as much as they are, because they're on the back foot, right? Once Reach falls, that's it. There's like a grand total of a handful of human colonies left, and Earth being the big one, and yet they're too busy just like throwing out these fucking ideas and stuff that barely any of them stick. And I just can't help but feel like, the whole point of Halo from when I was playing it growing up was that it was like this idea of everyone being able to come together to quell like a common foe kind of deal. It depicted a future, like, insurrectionists aside, right? But even then, there's instances in the lore of the UNSC teaming up with the insurrectionists to stop the Covenant. But I think it would just be more advantageous to humanity if they just pulled their heads in,
Yeah.
stop quabbling and just get on with the job. And if they want that political side drama plot thing, then they can do it with the Covenant, because that worked really well in Halo 2.
Yeah, that was
I
like the
wonder
best.
if part of it too is. Oh, did I cut you off?
No, 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 you're good.
Part of it too, I think, is a lot of the Halo games, at least. A lot of it's centered around the uh, consequences of the actions taken behind the scenes, like the Great Schism or changes in leadership in the UNSC, priority shifts, like winter contingency, that sort of thing.
Mm.
Usually, what we see and what we remember most are the big set pieces, the consequences of choices that were made by higher ups, and us playing through the resulting conflicts and how they changed the characters we're following throughout.
Mm. Yeah, I guess so, but I think it's also you see, I need a minute to think on that. That is a valid point right there.
Because there's a lot of people that are really interested in the setup for character drama and potential directions that they might go in, but a lot of the time at least I find myself like, oh, that's where that was going. Why didn't you just tell me sooner? Something else could have happened.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's like that's basically Parangosky and Ackerson's whole like side
Yeah.
plot summed up in season 2 in a nutshell. It's like, you guys went to all this trouble to get rid of Chief and stuff and the other Spartan 2s for why exactly? Like what was the like you wanted to have them as like martyrs, I guess, to help like influence the training of the Spartan 3s, but it's just better to have them on side anyway, who like you have invaluable assets right here who could be training your next generation of Spartan 3s. Why not, why not use them? Sure, they're kind of loose cannons, but if you rein them in a little bit, like it's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to the pellets?
Mind-boggling.
That's what I was wondering. Whenever I'd see like Chief, lose his mind, have roid rage or whatever, it's like where put the pellets back in him. Like, what do you guys, like if they're wanting to rein them in, you just shove that thing right in their butt, and then bam, they're good to go. There's no more roid rage you have to worry about. So I don't understand. Like they're just not willing to do it.
That was also part of the importance of Cortana as well, was that she was kind of there to help rein Chief in a little bit. So again, like, why did Parangosky bother taking Cortana out of Chief's head at the beginning of season 2, end of season 1, only to then, keep her hidden away, doing predictions about the fall of Reach and stuff, when she could have been the one to help rein Chief in and potentially train that next generation of Spartans. I don't know, man. Like, maybe I'm missing something and I'm just a spoon fed, but from the perspective of watching through it a couple of times now, unfortunately, I struggle to try and put the pieces together. It's just, yeah, it feels really messy.
And I'm just curious too. Where's Kurt at? Where
Oh, he did. He didn't exist, probably.
really?
Well,
Like they don't even.
it seems as though all the Spartan 2s that, like, we see a grand total of like 8 in the entire runtime of the show. There's Cobalt Team in season 2 and Silver Team, who we follow, who are like, the stand-ins for Blue Team.
Yeah.
But I don't think we see any other Spartan 2s as far as I'm aware. Like
That's crazy.
there's like a dozen or so Spartan fire teams that get mentioned in one of the earlier episodes in season 2, but they just like don't exist after that. They just go missing, I guess.
The
Yeah, it's weird.
it's like an opposite problem with like the game where the games have like way too many Spartan 2s running around now. It's like there's just nothing, I guess, in the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, it's a bit of a backflip, right? Because, for the longest time, Chief was kind of touted as like the last of his kind or whatever, which I guess was never really true. But after
Should have
that,
been.
they kind of retconned a lot of Spartan 2s into various places. Like there was that dude from Nightfall who apparently had his augmentations reverted or whatever. Um, uh, Fuck, what was his name? Randall, I think. He's the big guy in
Randy.
yeah, Randy Randall, the Spartan, who also went off to go and have a kid or something, I guess. So kind of a similar situation to Soren. Um, and here you have all the blue team who maybe died and actually survived, and one got frozen in cryo, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
I don't understand why they completely swapped for Silver Team. I mean, you already have these established characters, which I get they didn't. Didn't they like tout themselves as like, yeah, we didn't play the games, we didn't read anything about Halo, we just why not money. So, but it's just mind boggling to me because you have probably the easy. You literally just follow the books and you're good. I mean, Fred would be super easy. He'd be better than Vanek, and Vanek was like the best one in the group.
That whole point about not looking at the games or whatever, it was more about them not allowing the storytelling of the game to shape their version of the narrative. But then at the same time, I do wonder how they decided what parts of the main narrative to keep and what to change, and how it would be received by, well, the general TV audience.
Yeah, because it seems like they're just honing in, like they're following the same general story beats. Like you got the follow reach, like they're following the events, but they're like really warping what causes them and like this and that. Um, So maybe that's what they're doing, but even then, I feel like that's probably just Kiki or whoever is at 343 just telling them like, guys, you got to do this, you got to hit this note. All right. I don't even think it's like Paramount's decision making when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, it's fascinating to me.
I can, to an extent, appreciate them wanting to go off and do their own thing and, not being confined by canon. But when you're doing it for the, I should probably preface this by saying that there is probably an element of rose-tinted glasses happening here and a bit of nostalgia influencing what I'm going to say. But what's really the point in doing something different if you're just going to do it worse than what was already done before?
Yeah.
And especially if you are going to go to the trouble of referencing so many important events in the Halo timeline, like the fall of Reach and discovering Halo and all the rest, like, they know that there is huge implications to this when it comes to the fans and like their enjoyment of the franchise. They see them and they see these as really big moments, and yet they are done so haphazardly and so poorly. Like the fall of Reach, it's like there's a whole game about that shit, there's a whole book about that shit. It's like one of the most pivotal moments in the entire series, and it's glossed over in 2 episodes, if that. And discovering Halo is kind of this, again, in Combat Evolved, it's this sort of place of mystery. As we go through the games, we uncover more and more things about it, and yet they blow their load almost immediately in the final episode, and leading up to it, we discover almost everything we need to know about what Halo is. We know it's a weapon because Marquis and Chief have been, having visions on it all the time, and I guess can just feel what it's supposed to be or something. And we already discover the monitor. Oh shit. Well, fuck. There you go. I said it now. It's they're just, it's happening, I think, too quickly, and they're not really bothering to indulge in the mystery a bit, or we've had the mystery, but it's done so early on that it just, I don't think it works.
We're not getting to ask questions, or
yes,
we don't have enough time to form those questions.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like, when we're going through Combat Evolved, right, and you're seeing all these massive structures underground, and this cave isn't a natural formation or whatever, and you're seeing massive things underground, all these different facilities, you're constantly wondering, like, what is the point in all these? What are they here for? And slowly, as you go further and further down, down the rabbit hole, I guess, and you uncover the Flood, and you get that revelation in Assault on the Control Room, it's like, shit. There's bigger things at play here than we initially realized. This isn't just, a hula hoop in space. There's far more to it. Like, they kind of get the idea it's a weapon, but now they know the general purpose of it. So, yeah.
There are a few things, at least in the last episode, like those beam emitters coming out from under the ground after McKee touches that hand receptacle thing, whatever. Like, that was cool. What are those for, right? Those beam emitter things. But then at the same time, the Flood's already been unleashed on a UNSC facility. So what the hell is gonna, and that whole thing with the Mystic and Quan.
Oh, fuck, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I do have those questions, but I'm now coming into this, instead of out of genuine curiosity, I'm like, why did you change this? Instead of, what are these changes? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I asked myself the same thing when they showed the Flood on the UNSC ship. I'm like, but why? Like, you have such a cool reveal in the game, which I get, they're not, but I feel like that's a very impactful moment. You'd think they'd save it. It's like, it's coming.
The other thing too, right, is that they could have, I think it completely, introducing the Flood in the final episode of season 2, I thought completely messed up the pace. Like, they really fucking Spider-Man 3'd that shit, where they just kind of chucked Venom in there for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Like, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen, and, they're trying to wrap up all these different plot threads that have been running for the last season or so, and then to throw the Flood in on top of that, I just thought was way too much. But, They also talk about how, like, I think the Guilty Spark or the Monitor or whoever that is talking to Chief mentions about, like in passing, oh, you saw something down there. There's something down here waiting for you. And it's like, okay, so the Flood is on the ring as well. why did we need to go to the trouble of showing them on Onyx 2? Like, why not just build them up some more, like, as this looming threat for the next season, instead of, you know, introducing them right at the tail end of season 2? That's going to beg, I think, more questions than answers. I think it also just, yeah, again, like, they're blowing their load too early, man.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more mystery leading into that, because that was one of the most important things about Halo Combat Evolved, was that mystery of discovering things as it went on. And I think they're hitting all these beats, you know, like you said, Leo, hitting the notes, but I think out of order or just too quickly.
It's just the, and I wonder how that's going to affect season 3 if they even come out with it. Is like, are they going to do like half the season is going to be on the ring or something, and then that's it? Because if they're already blowing, like you say, blowing their load this early, it just makes me wonder. I guess what's in store, because they've already shown the flood. Really, the only thing that Chief has in mind now is just destroying the ring, I'm guessing, or figuring out whatever McKee was saying. I don't know. But it's just...
Because ultimately, we're left questioning why the changes instead of what the changes mean for the story.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap my head around it. It's just... I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm watching just a lost cause unfold. Like, it's just... I just see disappointment after disappointment, and I'm like, why? I
think ultimately your enjoyment of the show is how much you can separate it from the main timeline, but then again, it also, like, why is this Halo?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's...
Or why are you telling the Master Chief story with this? Why not somebody else entirely? Well, brand recognition, obviously, but...
Yeah. And that's another thing, too, that really annoys me. Minor deviation, but the suit, why doesn't he have the Mark V? I love the Mark V. It's like my favorite suit. I actually prefer it over the 6. I'm going to be real. But, first he should start out with the Mark IV, because I think pre-reach they don't even have shields yet, right? That was the whole thing. Or at least,
yeah. I mean, I'd have to double check that one, but yeah, I'm pretty sure
he has the experimental Mark V with the shields or whatever.
Probably brand recognition again.
Yeah, that's true.
It is. They want to try and keep it consistent, because the armor is very clearly influenced off Infinite's depiction of Mark 6 Gen 3 or whatever it is. So I think they just want to have, like, you know, the face of Master Chief being consistent throughout all these different brands, despite being 2 separate timelines as well. So it's like, you know, pick your... They want to try and have their cake and eat it too, I guess.
Yeah, they also... they keep doing the... I really... It annoys me. Every time they do it, he does the infinite pose nonstop. And I'm like, bro, put your helmet on. What are you doing? You know, he has, like, his helmet off by his hips. You guys know the shot I'm talking about? It's just...
Yeah, from the reveal trailer.
2018,
yeah. They did it twice. I counted it twice. It's like, dude, you can't. Just stop. Just put the helmet on. In the first one, too, the first time he does it, he literally puts his helmet on while they're, like, driving or whatever, getting to the spot. Then he takes it off. He put it on just to take it off. I'm like, what do you...
It's because they had the stunt driver in for Pablo, because he doesn't know how to drive the Warthog, probably.
Yeah, so it's got like 8 pedals or whatever in lore, right? So there you go.
Yeah, why are there 8 pedals if there are only 4 directions?
Yeah, it's just... I don't know. And, other than that, the costuming's fine. I'll give it that, I guess. I mean, it looks alright. I mean, the Covenant stuff isn't great, but the UNSC uniforms and stuff, like the Marines, they look great. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Weapons, also fine.
Oh.
I'm really just trying to find stuff.
For the most part.
Yeah, other than the plasma pistol and the...
Oh, the fucking the wooden one that they forgot to paint in episode 1.
Well, it's weird because you'll see one shot and it's very clearly colored, right? And then you'll see another and it's not, and it just kept flickering. It's like, make up your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do want to ask you guys, because this has been a pretty big point of contention after the finale. What did you think about the Flood and how they were done? Because I, on a first watch, was pretty disappointed by it, but I went back and I watched Mona Lisa, that sort of, you know, animated digicomic about the prison ship that only were experimenting on people with the Flood and stuff. And I've somewhat come around on it a bit more. I do have some issues with how they were executed, but I would like to get your thoughts and opinions on how you thought they were handled.
I'm fine with it so far,
Yeah.
since it's only spores and whatnot. But I remember you posed a question in that video and mentioned, okay, so it's not airborne anymore? Because Miranda was literally right next to Halsey after she was infected. And so is she fine, or is it incubating her, or what? And there's also that whole thing with Kwan Ha. Has it been a grave mind tricking her this whole time for generations to lead her to wherever that is? Is there even a grave mind? Or is it something else entirely? Is it a precursor? I have no idea.
Hmm.
But these are questions I like asking. I
Yeah.
like how these questions make me feel. Is this as bad as it gets? Or are we going to see way worse stuff later on if the show keeps going?
I will say I think it's actually touch activated because you see right after that lady walks out of the I forget her name, but she's the one that gets like first contact with the flood.
Oh yeah, Miss what's her name?
Yeah, the annoying one, Yapper.
Janine.
Yeah,
Janine,
Janine
the Oni biologist who went to go and touch a random ancient alien artifact with no kind of precautionary material, and then just proceeded to hold hands with someone in passing
Yeah.
as well.
Oh,
that's
remember.
yeah. So
She was asking Miranda if she knew Halsey.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't her. Ooh, I like that actually. I like that actually.
yeah, but I think it's touch activated because you see her like they really pan in and zoom in on the hand holding for a second, and then after that, and that would explain why Miranda being so close to it, maybe she's not infected because she's using tools or whatever. I don't know. Unless she's just poking
It
at
also-
it too, in which case it's just plot armor. But
But it was also like I don't think that we ever saw a moment where Miranda left that lab because she was looking at the process of the spore or whatever it was kind of growing, and in the background I guess Janine just fucking took the sample out of the big glass case that it's in and decided to play around with it and put it back. Like it's again, being a biologist for Oni, you'd think they would be the brightest people you could possibly find. But, they just decide to go and touch this weird, this weird thing here. Why not? And again, like, being Oni, you'd also think they'd have some kind of contingent in place if any kind of, like, alien pathogen were to kick off. But instead, I think she just ends up stabbing someone and getting sent into like the jail cells with Soren's wife and kid, and just left there, not like put in quarantine or anything, despite showing pretty visible signs of like her veins being fucked up and feverish symptoms. Like, and again, there's no security cameras in this place either, because despite all the people standing around with their heads contorting in weird ways, no one from the upper decks or whatever at the command center with Parangoski and whatever seems to pay any attention to this happening. Understandably, there's a big battle going on with the fleet a couple of light years away, but still, where's the fucking security, man? What's going on?
yeah, where's like it should be like half focus, right? Like maybe Parangoski's focused on the fight ahead, but you have security and whoever heads security managing the outbreak that's literally going on. Like it's just weird to me that they say, whatever. She just had an oopsie, stabbing that poor guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I will say the little tentacle coming out of the people's necks, that was actually kind of cool. I hope that we see more evolution, which I'm guessing that's what they're planning, right? They're gonna make them all look bloated and gross. But you never know. But yeah, I mean, it looked fantastic, I thought. Even if like it looked squishy and whatnot, like VFX.
Given enough time, you're also going to see, what do you call it, carrier forms. Maybe Chief will come upon them like all over the Oni facility.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I also wonder how they're gonna have him fight the flood though, too, because of the helmet. Because isn't it like broken?
Oh yeah, because it's fucked up.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got a hole in it.
So, which I don't even know how that happened, because
Yeah, that was really vague.
yeah,
Like it seemed as though like some amount of time had passed since going into that spire. Is that supposed to be Halo's control room? Is that what that is? Because I noticed that it looked.
I hope not.
Yeah, because it was like a similar shape to the control room from Halo 2 on Delta Halo. I noticed, but I was like, no way, it's this small. Surely not.
Well, we don't even know which Halo we're on, so.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's a good point.
Which
God, I hope it's not Zeta Halo.
Oh fuck! Please God, no! Not again.
Yeah, I will say the visor, by the way, they give me PTSD like instantly. When I saw the crack on the visor, I was like, oh no, please, no, not again, not Halo 5.
Well, they've found their workaround though now, haven't they? Like everyone complained, like put the fucking helmet on, Pablo, keep that shit on, and now he can keep the helmet on, but he's got a fucking crack in so he can see his face. So they can completely neglect the whole helmet cam thing and still give us, Pablo Schreiber's contractual obligation of having his face shown every episode so we can see his feelings, because apparently we don't know how Chief feels without seeing his face.
Yeah.
But still keeping the helmet on. So, yeah, that's that bothers me.
It begs the question: why not just do the Iron Man thing that they really used it a lot in the fighting scene? Like, just do that. Like, if you need to have a moment where Chief is like crying or oh, Cortana or whatever, just show him like crying in the Iron Man camera. I don't. Why does he have to take the helmet off just to cry or get rageful or whatever? Just I don't know. Weird. It's a weird direction choice.
Yeah. Well, again, we will see how that happened. Presumably in season 3, we'll get some kind of flashback. But yeah, that scene very much came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I hope that means he has to revert to an older set of armor or something like that.
I hope.
The old Mark 5?
Like,
Dude,
Mark 5.
please, I need it.
Mark
I need
5?
it so
Question
bad.
mark?
Again, that's my favorite suit. If they actually do it, you know what? I'll give it an instant 10 out of 10. I don't even care if it's really bad.
The member berry's got him.
Yeah. Like, I'll sign up on it, because Mark 5 love is not a common thing, which is a shame.
Those are your jangling keys.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I need it. I need that nostalgia bait. Even though Halo 2 was probably my favorite, but yeah. And that's another thing too, is I want to talk about the Arbiter some, because I want to know what your guys' thoughts on him are. Is that supposed to be...
That can't be it.
Is it supposed to be Thelvadam, or is it...
No, it's a different guy.
Okay, that's good. For a second, I thought they were going to make him Shipmaster or something, because in the fight, you see one of his mandibles gone, and I'm like, oh... It's Shipmaster. He's gonna do the funny line.
Bro was sitting up in his chair going, whoa, here I come.
Yeah, and then they just kill him. It's like, oh, okay, well, rest in peace, Shipmaster. You were cool for all of like 2 seconds.
Like, I think it's important to note that in the main timeline, I know it's kind of pointless to bring up the main timeline, but in the main timeline, he only becomes the Arbiter after the first Halo is destroyed.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll still have him at some point, somehow. Or somebody equivalent.
I'm actually wondering if they're gonna make Makee the Arbiter. Like, if they make her the leader of the Great Schism. That's what I'm kind of curious, because it seems like they're kind of hinting at like the conflict within her. Sort of like how they did with the Arbiter, and it just makes me think, like, maybe they're just not even gonna try with Thelvadam. They're just gonna make her the it's cheaper instead of having to focus on CGI.
To me, she just comes off as a bit too far gone, philosophy-wise.
But if she bangs John, she's good for a few days.
Fair enough.
Give her that at least.
Like, she comes back to Earth for a little bit and then goes on her way.
Yeah. Well, and I think there was a scene, I'm blanking on it, but where she's like getting tased or whatever. And like that was her moment where she's like, all right, I'm out. See you guys. I tried. The UNSC is like poking her with the shock stick or whatever. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But I don't know. I feel like maybe, because they're also hinting at the Prophets wanting to betray her once they get on the ring. So it makes me think, like, you lied to me. I'm going to fight you guys now. It just makes me think they're going to do that, because it's cheaper to, work with Makee than it is to do the VFX of having the Arbiter on screen for half the time.
But she has no status. Like, to the rest of the Covenant, she's Nobody, basically.
I mean, the Arbiter
Well,
fell.
I mean, I guess you could also make the argument that um, she I mean, she could be playing, some of the sides here, right? She could be like, "Oh, I'm the only kind of person who's able to use this great ring and stuff. So for those of you who are actually worthy, follow me." So we might get a version of the Arbiter in Marquee, but it's just not the whole Great Journey is a lie angle that they took with him instead. It's just, like she she I guess, starts like the Great Schism as a means to an end kind of deal. So she gets like some Covenant rebel faction or whatever, and that's how
Maybe.
it kicks off.
But
God, I
see,
can see them doing
that's
that.
pretty clever.
Yeah, maybe too clever, right?
um, who?
I don't want to rag on them too much, but like, I really want them to execute whatever ideas they have for if they get to do season 3. Like, really just hit it out of the ballpark. Because I feel like they wanted to tie up loose ends in season 2, but also really just get on with it with season 3.
Mm.
Yeah, they kind of want. Yeah, they want to close everything out, but also like they don't want to give it the proper time it needs to really.
Why are they limited to, what is it, 8
Yeah,
episodes?
They had 9 last season. Like the finale was like a ninth episode, so I don't know why they didn't go for an extra one.
maybe they are canceling it. One can hope. One can hope.
Yeah, I mean, look, I part of me is almost like it would be interesting to see what they do for season 3, because season 2, for as much shit as I gave it, the finale was actually it was passable. I'm not going to say it was good. I thought it was passable, and the direction that they're taking things in is more interesting. Um, and I'm just one of those people who's always like you know, a what if kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
Like I'd pinch myself forever if the show didn't get to wrap itself up properly, and we didn't get to see what they had in mind. But at the same time, I'm almost like, you know what? I think if this was given to the right people in the right hands and they were to cancel it now, I wouldn't be all that mad. You know, it would save me from having to fucking work till 1 a.m. in the morning doing these weekly reviews. But
I,
other than that, it's yeah, yeah. It's tricky to say. It's very tricky to say, because on the one hand, it's really not what I and many others have wanted in terms of the ideal Halo television show. We've missed the mark. But lowering my standards, I can see why season 3 might be okay. We'll say that.
yeah. I
Well,
mean,
I don't want to say okay to in presumption, because it could be more of the same. It could be worse. We don't know. Just have to wait and see.
yeah, that's fair.
Speaking of wait and see, Fallout.
That was, it was good. It was a good segue. Yeah. Yeah. Fallout. What about Fallout, Alex?
Have you seen any of the latest, like, promotional material? And that little snippet from, I presume it's probably a mid-season episode?
Yeah, I want to say yeah, probably spliced somewhere in there. Um, I am cautiously optimistic. Maybe, kinda. I don't know. It's
I think an important question to ask is, when did you first become a Fallout fan?
oh Lord. I mean, my dad got me into it of all people. I first started playing with Fallout 3. That was my introduction, like a lot of people. But as I got older, I played New Vegas more, and that really got me going. You know what I mean? Like Fallout 3 got me into it, but New Vegas was like hooked. And then 4 came out, and yeah, um, Fallout 4 is definitely a game. I'll give it that. And then 76 came out, and I pre-ordered that, so that stung a lot more than probably did for most people. But yeah, what about you, Alex?
Also started with Fallout 3, like, almost as soon as it came out,
Uh,
which, weird gift to give to a kid, but anyway. Yeah, I started with Fallout 3 Game of the Year edition, and the thing that stuck out to me the most was it was just an ugly, awful atmosphere, but so interesting too.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what hooked me. Like, I love New Vegas's writing and characters and all that sort of thing, but to me, it's more about the atmosphere when it comes to post-apocalyptic games, which I adored from Fallout 3. And then Fallout 4 didn't give me either of the things that I really liked
Yeah.
from Evil 3 or New Vegas.
Yeah.
So,
What about?
and it,
Sorry, go ahead.
what about you, Laper
Yeah.
Larkin? Uh-oh, did we lose
Yeah.
him?
Is he there?
Oh, sorry, no, I was just watching that clip that Alyx was talking about, and I thought it looked alright.
What
Yeah, no, the main character, the Vault Dweller, definitely failed the speech check right there. Yeah, no, I mean, like, so far so good, I think. I don't want to get my hopes too high up because, again, it's an adaptation of a video game property. I'm not really the most familiar with Fallout. Like, I played Fallout 3 and I've played New Vegas, but my interest kind of stopped after those. Just because I don't think the games ever really got to the same height that New Vegas got to.
Yeah.
And
gonna say,
I'm pretty sure I got Fallout 3 with my Xbox 360 for memory. I think it might have been bundled in there. It might have been one of the first games I got along with Halo 3. But yeah, it's kind of a similar relationship that I have with Fallout to games like Assassin's Creed, where I played the first few games, and after about Revelations, I think I kind of tuned out because I started getting the impression that the franchise was going in a direction that I didn't really care all that much for. I think I would maybe like to go back and play some more of the Fallout games, but seeing the response to 76 has also kind of dumbed down my interest in it. I think that game was not received particularly well. And I know that at some point we are going to talk about another game that was not received particularly well, but before we get to that, I think so far, the show looks promising. I really like the aesthetic of Fallout, and I think they've managed to capture it fairly closely. I don't know if Amazon Prime have done any other video game adaptations as shows before, have they? Do we have anything to base it off of?
Nothing comes to mind so far.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything.
Now hearing you guys talk about your background in Fallout, I'm starting to understand the point I think it was a show writer made about working on Fallout. He basically said, like, we don't want to appeal to fans of games or something like that, since clearly there's a lot of division in what people want out of any adaptation of the Fallout story. So I guess I'm cautiously optimistic for how they tell this new Fallout story, because it's not a retelling. It's a whole new story taking place within the overall Fallout universe.
Yeah. I think they said it was supposed to be Fallout 5, but TV show was like the at least in the article I linked. I'll put it in the description, but yeah, it was I'm just worried because of there was something he said, and you can like or hate Fallout 3, but it's definitely not the peak of the franchise. I'd say that either goes to, depending on how old you are, Fallout 2 or Fallout New Vegas. So yeah, a little slight against old people there. But yeah, it's he said he got stuck into Fallout 3. Like, he's a big Fallout 3 fan. Jonathan Nolan is, and that makes me a bit worried because Fallout 3 kind of lost some of the magic of the earlier games, which I went back and played, and I don't know. And on that too, it seems very cartoony. It seems very Fallout 4-y, and that was probably the worst aspect of the game, was the art direction. Nah, it was the plot.
Fallout 3?
No,
Or
Fallout 4. My bad.
I was about to say.
Yeah. The art direction for Fallout 4 it's very cartoony. They kind of lost the darkness, I guess, like the the gray sky kind of aspect of it. It's all very bright, and it's like this isn't post-apocalyptic. So I'm worried about the tone they're going for, and it also seems to have not escaped the millennial writing, the MCU. Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? Type of writing. And
oh god, yeah.
I'm a bit
they
worried
fly now?
Yeah, they fly now.
They fly
Yeah,
now.
that's what I said when I saw the Brotherhood trooper with the Iron Man gauntlets. And that's another thing too. They just can't stop ruining power armor. It's why? Why are they making him Iron Man? And when he touches the ground too, bit of a minor gripe, but when he hits the ground, there's no impact, and it's like this is like a hunk of suit, right? Like this is huge. This is big metal boy. Where's the impact? Just some dust. That's it. It's like what they take a leaf blower behind him or something. I don't.
It did look a bit like a cosplayer, I'll admit. I mean, for memory, yeah, the armor for the Brotherhood of Steel Soldiers looked a little bit thicker than how they're showing it in live action. But again, budget constraints and stuff. But I think I would take it practically, even if it's done not the greatest, over something that's completely CGI.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset, but it's just like you have a Nolan brother working on this. Like, where's the, it's like, I feel like they should be paying like top dollar for this stuff, but they're just, I don't know, makes me worried.
Oh, what about that ghoul guy?
Ghoul guy looks good. Like, they did the makeup really well. That's always something that, there was an old fan film for Fallout, it's like something Star, or something like Nuka Star or something. And the ghoul makeup was not the best. It's because of the nose, I'm sure, but I'm sure they just VFX'd his nose out. And yeah, I mean, he looks good. Looks good. The Vault costume looks great. It's really just the Brotherhood I have a problem with. Mainly their presence in California, because at this time they're basically extinct in California. The NCR drove them out. I think it was like somewhere in between Fallout 2 and New Vegas. So I don't.
Oh, but we do finally maybe get to figure out what happened after New Vegas.
That's true, but the lack of NCR kind of worries me. I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping they didn't make like the Legion ending canon or whatever, where it's just a slave city now.
Well, we don't know where that one city is, that western-looking place.
Yeah. Oh, I think they said it's supposed to take place in L.A. or something.
Never mind.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's like they're in L.A. at that scene, so it could just be like a Good Springs kind of deal. Like they have to travel to the big place, which I wonder how they're gonna do that on a budget. Maybe they'll wait until season 2 to get to L.A. I don't know, but yeah, it's just there's a few things here and there that make me worried. And the guy that's heading it, his what is it, filmography, his repertoire, it's a fancy word, is kind of mixed. Like he worked on The Dark Knight because his brother's Chris Nolan. That's good, fantastic movie. But he also did Westworld, which I heard fell off after season 1. So it's not the best repertoire. It's pretty like I don't know. And most of the good stuff he wrote was co-writing with his brother. So who's to say that Chris didn't carry it? It's just
all the talent in the family went somewhere.
yeah, yeah. So it's just I don't know. I'm just worried, and seeing another thing too, seeing Todd Howard's name pop up on the trailer was not reinforced my caution. So 16 times the detail.
It just works.
It just works, yeah.
All right, Leo. The show, it's just gonna work.
It's just gonna, yeah.
It's just gonna work.
I'm honestly, I'm leaning towards it being fine, like okay, nothing fantastic, nothing like really gawk at. It's just gonna be, it's all right. Like
I do respect the decision for them to stay within like the Fallout universe, but tell a different story within it. That's not something from the games, though. That's kind of removing any sort of level of timeline multiverse confusion bullshit, and I think keeping the franchise relatively consistent. I think that's probably the approach they should have taken with the Halo TV show as well, is stay within the confines of the lore that we had and just tell a different story somewhere else in there. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no,
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, with the show, there is one thing I could be wrong, but I think I saw a shot of the Prydwen, which the Prydwen in Fallout 4 is the Brotherhood's flagship. So I really hope they're not trying to East Coastify the West Coast. And I don't know. I'm worried because they're touching like the best coast in the Fallout games. They're touching like the New Vegas and Fallout 1 and 2, and it's like, please don't ruin it. Please don't make it awful. Because that's really all us Fallout fans have to look at for like peak games, right? I mean, Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas, and then you've got 3 if you want to like play. I mean, it's alright, looking back on it. I have a lot of nostalgia for it, but I don't know if that. I mean, I can't say it's a good game because it's pretty serviceable, and that's about it. One thing I don't like is the time dilation, but that's a whole other thing. So
Time dilation.
yeah, so in the games, it's like 200 years after the war, and they can't even pick up after themselves. Like in Fallout, I mean, even in Fallout 1, you had Shady Sands. It was, I mean, it was like sand houses, but it's still better than living in trash, which is what people on the East Coast are doing. And then you've got, New Vegas, which still has some of the same issue with like the trash and stuff, but they reused a lot of Fallout 3 assets, so I can kind of see why.
Well, how are you supposed to know it's a post-apocalypse? Post-apocalypse, there's no trash.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and if there's no
Yeah.
skulls all over the floor, Terminator style, how do we know?
Yeah, you see like these like raider totem poles outside of Diamond City, and it's like, what? Where's the security? You know, there's like skulls and like impaled bodies and stuff. It's like, what? What is this? It's just very lawless, and I get their like, Bethesda's whole approach has always been just like, let's just take the aesthetic, and then that's it. We won't follow through on any like the plot lines or whatever. We'll just take the aesthetic and then roll with it. Which even now looks like they're ditching with the cartoony thing. So I don't know. It's not a great time to be a video game fan, I tell you that.
We've got
Definitely isn't.
we've got some little shining diamonds in the rather large mountain of shit.
Well, there is that upcoming Star Wars FPS. Oh wait,
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
oh, God, please no. Yeah, Star Wars. Fuck, what a state.
it was supposed
That's-
to be by Respawn, right?
I think so. Was it?
No, it was.
Yeah.
Are you guys talking about the classic collection? Because
No. Oh, we'll get to that later. But no.
Yeah. Fuck. God.
oh, you guys are talking about that new there's like a bounty hunter game or something coming out, right? What was it?
Oh, there is that.
Star Wars.
I will give them that, but it's Ubisoft. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, right. No, I haven't heard.
So I'm not really keeping up with that anymore.
That's understandable. I mean, if you want a world more vapid than Halo Infinite, you play a Ubisoft game. But,
Oofed.
yeah, yeah. As for, I haven't heard about this FPS game though. Let me look it up.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around that well, not a rumor, but there was a Star Wars game being developed by Respawn that was going to be a first-person shooter game, but I'm pretty sure EA's just like wiped it out.
Oh, the bounty hunter game. Is that what you guys are talking about?
No, different game as well. It was yeah. Again, like I don't think we'd seen any gameplay or anything of it. I don't even think an official title had been announced. It was just like first person Star Wars game, and it just never eventuated.
Yeah, looks like they're shutting it down. So that's 2 Star Wars games they've canceled. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. That was
Well, as of late, we can go back to Star Wars Battlefront now. Classic games.
No, let's not. Let's not go back to those because they're not in a state.
But it's the good old days.
Is it though?
yeah. Is it? I don't
Is it
know.
really? I don't know, man. God, I don't know what the
Okay,
fuck.
Why not?
I don't know how the hell they can mess up that Battlefront collection so poorly.
And charge
was rough.
$35 for it. That's what annoys me. You can literally play Battlefront 2 on Steam for like
I
$5.
have. I heard they've been like keeping up with it with patches and stuff.
I just don't. I think it might even be too far gone at this point. Like, I know
Is
it's
it
only been like a couple weeks, but
the incredibly poor initial reception?
well, yeah, I don't even think the game peaked at in the 5 digits on the Steam charts.
God.
Like, I think the most it got was maybe 6,000 people, and admittedly, that's on Steam alone. As someone who has talked trash about Halo Infinite's play count,
Oh
I
yeah.
need to preface with that. But yeah, I think the bad news about it spread so quickly that people just didn't touch it.
Well, and you're also, I mean, it's Star Wars fans. I mean, they're some of the most volatile fans ever. Like, you disrespect them even by a little bit, you're gone. You're Thanos snapped out of the
You will
conversation.
never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah. I mean, I play my part in it too. I like dunking on the sequels and whatnot. But yeah, it's just you don't mess with Star Wars fans, so I think it's kind of just going to be in the rubble. It's just gone, unless they manage to unless they're like going to do a Battlefront till the new one. It's very confusing with the
Or
titles.
an MCC.
Yeah, where they like really revamp it, add a ton of content. I'm talking like Ahsoka Tano, maybe Plo Koon. Get some cool Clone Wars people going.
But it's like a small studio they've got working on it, right?
Yeah,
It's not even like a subdivision, I guess, of a AAA studio. It's just some guys.
yeah, it's Aspire, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But their parent organization is Saber, which is probably why it's so bad. Never mind, the puzzle pieces are connecting here. We're starting to get a why for why this thing is so bad. I just don't. It's just incompetency left and right from these studios, though. I don't.
I think it's a big sort of collective recognition that a lot of people want things to go back to the way they were in some respects, but
They just.
everybody's just going about it in really confusing ways.
Yeah, it's very volatile. Like, it's a very angry reaction as opposed to a calm and collected one, which common, what's the saying, cool and calm heads always prevail or whatever. So
Right.
yeah, I think it's something like that, and I mean, I agree with those people. I think that it's I think it's a not two faced. It's a multifaceted issue. I'm trying to think of big words here. Um, big word, big think. Yeah, it's like nepotism. I feel like mixed with just this, it's a desire for money. It's not a desire for quality. I think these people lose sight of the fact that quality product equals big boy money. Like,
And there's also the side of gamers. I think a lot of people are just really tired.
yeah, well, they see their favorite franchises just get. I mean, I'm turning into that. Like, I just don't. I was talking about this with Alyx before you joined Laper, but it basically just. I was watching the Halo show and I just didn't care. Like, I was just watching the screen with a blank face, just no emotion, and I think that it's just people are just tired of it. They're just tired, like you said, they're tired of getting, screwed. They're tired of getting screwed with, and it's just sad.
Well, I mean, in Dune, right, they say fear is the mind killer, but I feel like it's actually apathy. Yeah, that's really like the worst place that you can fall under on sort of like the spectrum of fan passion, right? Is going from, at least if people were angry about it, there's still an element of passion involved. Like, they still want to see this thing improve. But drifting into apathy is just kind of like, yeah, that's the final stage, really, where it's not a good sign. I think with Star Wars, there's always been an element of fan fan anger, right? Because it's such a divisive franchise with so many different eras that people bicker over which one is the best, and generally I think we can all agree that its handling within the last few years has not been the greatest. But this really is just like the icing on the cake, right? It's like taking something that is sacred to so many people with the Battlefront games and then just kind of defecating on them, honestly. Promising to give an expanded experience on what was so great and giving people the opportunity to relive those classic memories again with friends now, only to have there be like fucking 3 servers or some shit. It's just, I have no idea what they were thinking. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the Battlefront collection was announced barely a couple of months ago. Like, it was almost kind of shadow dropped. There was no real
Yeah.
prior
That
understanding or knowing.
reminds me of the GTA Definitive Edition. Oh my god.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's the same kind of thing where it's like, oh, okay, we have this product that we've been working on in the back end that we're not going to tell anyone about. We know that it's going to cash in on people's nostalgia. Let's just drop it, even if it's not particularly good, in hopes that people didn't notice. When we fucking noticed,
Yeah.
the internet is a very vocal place. Info spreads very quickly. We're gonna know about your little side collection there, bro.
Yeah, no, I think they were trying to pull like a GoldenEye almost. That's what it seems like. But GoldenEye was actually fantastic. I just beat it like a few weeks ago, and I didn't have a single game breaking bug or no issue with anything. And I also couch co-opted it, which I missed that. More games, please bring it
Mm.
back. Need it. But yeah, it's just I I don't know. I just don't know who is on the business, like like the higher ups. I don't know what's going on in their heads where this is like good. Like they're playing this and they're like, yeah, this is great. Release it. And it's just terrible. It's like the worst thing you've ever played. It's like, what is this?
Well, I think that's like at some point it almost feels like it's intentional. Like they're dropping these games in a broken, shitty state, almost because they know it's gonna get like more press coverage and interest. Like the GoldenEye remaster, for example. Like I didn't like I knew it was coming out, but I didn't even clock that it actually released yet. So I'm gonna have to go and play that. But the Battlefront collection, for example, everyone's talking about it. Even people who aren't interested in Star Wars, they see another game and they jump on that bandwagon of it being broken, and they're going to be riding it all the way to the bank. But um, I almost feel like this whole redemption arc thing for video games is becoming like a marketing strategy now, and I hope they realize that shit doesn't work, because the first impression is everything, and there's only been a few instances I can think of where games have managed to make a pretty decent turnaround and gotten back to their same peaks that they had at launch, later on down the track in life, after fixing all their issues. um and again, if you do it right the first time, like your Helldivers or your Lethal Companies, and people will hopefully enjoy the game for years to come. But again, there's like different technicalities about those games that I think have made them so successful. But yeah, nah, it's just maybe we should stop with remasters for a little while.
Unless it's,
Maybe we should just
um,
leave them as they were, right?
I mean, it works with some. It's like, well, actually, no. It's mainly just been Capcom with Resident Evil. Like I've heard those are fantastic remasters, but otherwise, nothing. I'm looking forward to Snake Eater. I'll say that looks pretty good, but it's also Konami, so we'll see. Um, it's just I don't know. I do agree that I think it's like a marketing strategy. I think I disagree though. I think it actually does work. I think if you look at Destiny, like people still play that
Oh
game
yeah.
for some reason. I don't know why they play it.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Huh?
Stockholm
Yeah,
Syndrome.
honestly, I think that's what it is. Like after they revoke, like and I bought into the hype. I didn't play a lot of Destiny 1, so I didn't know it was like super bad. I obviously heard it was bad, but didn't know the extent of it. And so I got Destiny 2, and it was fine, I guess. I mean, it's a looter shooter. It's you're more focused on the shooty shoot than the story, but and then they release the DLC, and then they tell me I can't play that DLC anymore. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm done. Never playing this game again, and I haven't. So I don't know why. I, but it should just be like a one time thing. It shouldn't be a repetitive thing, and I don't know why it still works for some other games when it really shouldn't. But I don't know. Here we are.
Well, how about right now? Is there anything coming out perhaps this year or next year that you're excited for?
Uh, it's a rough
I'm
one.
gonna be honest, not
Uh-uh.
really. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I've clocked that I've been really all that interested in. It's I think it's also just part of my age, right? Like I'm in my mid-20s now, and I'm working 9 to 5, and you work your cringe 9 to 5. I'll be gaming, but like I just kind of I don't have the time for shit games anymore. I really don't. When I come home, I wanna hop on with the boys, and I wanna have a good time. Like
Right.
I don't want to waste my time dealing with buggy or broken stuff. I don't want to get shit on for being a slightly above average player, not to toot my own horn, with skill based matchmaking on Call of Duty or Halo,
Yeah.
and make it insufferable for my mates who aren't as good as me. I just want to kick back and have fun, and like I think the whole aspect of fun is something that just seems to be forgotten now in place of addiction and Stockholm syndrome, like you mentioned earlier, Alyx. They want to keep players addicted as opposed to keeping them engaged.
Yeah.
Fun
um
isn't very profitable.
yeah, well, apparently not. I mean, I hope that games like Helldivers, for example, is an example of something to the contrary, because I've been having so much fun on that game. The community is great for the most part, but that can be said about any franchise. And the fact that the live service element is baked into the very core of the game instead of something that's tacked on to the end after the fact makes it really, really interesting. And from what I've heard, what they're doing going forward for that game is going to be great. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But most other kind of like big franchises and stuff, or even potential IPs that are trying to climb their way up and are likely coming from big publishers like Ubisoft or Activision or something, I'm just really not that interested, because I know that for the most part they're probably not going to stick the landing. It's just going to be more of what we've gotten for the past decade or so, and that's a bit disappointing, really. I don't like having to say that and admit it, but yeah, I'm way more cautious with the games that I pick and play. I'm not a pre-ordering guy anymore. I've stayed very clear of that. I like to make sure that I get the opinions and the reviews beforehand,
Right.
just so I know I'm not wasting my time and my money.
Uh, I'm the youngest, so I still got a few more years in me I can waste. I I don't know. I mean, GTA 5 kind of, or 6, Lord. It's ingrained
Oh
in my
yeah, no,
head.
that's the exception. That's the
Yeah,
exception.
it looks pretty good. I won't lie. Curious. I was seeing some news. It looks like it may be getting delayed. Um, maybe possibly. Don't know. They're not delaying it
They're
by.
gonna bring up that quote
Yeah,
again.
I think they're delaying it by like a few months if they're delaying it at all. So it's not like worst case scenario where we're gonna be in the nursing home by the time it drops, but yeah, and I don't know, another one. There was some buzz about it like 6 years ago, and nothing since. But I'm holding out hope. The James Bond game by IO Interactive.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like a match made in heaven. I wish them the best. I really hope it's good because as a Bond fan, we haven't had anything good since 2012, and we haven't had a good game since 1997. So, you know,
I almost completely forgot about that, but yeah,
yeah,
that's still on my radar
yeah.
too.
They dropped the trailer and then haven't said anything. It wasn't even a trailer. It was just the gun barrel, which cool. But
Starting to remind me of Cyberpunk.
oh man, that
I hope not.
yeah.
Well, I do enjoy Cyberpunk now, but that's the
I,
problem. I enjoy it
I
now.
haven't played it post Phantom Liberty. Actually, I haven't gotten Phantom Liberty, but I am.
Um,
I'm curious. What is it like? Good? Is it bad or?
well, I'm actually running in Dogtown as we've been speaking this whole time.
Oh, that's fair.
Based.
Yeah, yeah, fair. I wish I could multitask. Honestly, I'm so terrible with it.
I'm not paying attention. I'm literally just running around.
Oh, fair. Um, But yeah, I will say it was really weird before Phantom Liberty how the morale around the game just turned around once the anime came out. Like all they had to do was do an anime, and then everyone likes it
Yeah,
now.
it's almost like another popular science fiction franchise should also release an animated series to help bring some goodwill back on board. Halo Legends 2.
I hope it's all
Part
about
of what made
1337.
it work so well. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying. I hope it's all about 1337, Laper. I hope it's all about the real one.
Oh right.
Yeah. C tier. Yeah, whatever. You hater.
Sorry, he's still triggered over that. And my fucking tier list of the Halo Legends shorts. Sorry, Alex, we cut you off. You were saying something.
Sorry.
I was just saying, part of what I think a lot of, I guess it would be producers, what they might be misunderstanding about Cyberpunk's revival is it already had a great foundation. It was just built with pretty shitty parts.
Yeah.
And so I had to gut it and rebuild it.
Yeah.
But they already had all the blueprints, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the story was great. Like, I will say it kind of bums me that they didn't have, like, a happy ending, which I won't spoil it. But
that's kind of
yeah, and that's the point.
Universe.
Yeah, and so I'm like, all right, like, it just bums me, but I'm like, I get it, and I respect it. It's both, you know. In most games, it's very happy ending. Sometimes, actually, not all that common as it used to be, but still. But yeah, it was a fantastic game. Story wise, it was just like the gameplay was the worst part. Which if they fixed it, then that's fantastic. I hope they continue supporting it. I forget what their plan was. I think it was something like we're gonna drop Phantom Liberty and then get to work on Cyberpunk 2. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
See, that's an interesting kind of change of direction, because I feel like, you know, they messed up pretty bad with that first game, and sure they brought it around, but yeah, I kind of respect it, but I don't, right? Because so many games are kind of going down the live service route, and they want to keep that what's the word I'm looking for? They want to keep, I guess, like the investment into that first game and keeping it alive is less than starting again on a completely new one. And so you see a lot of studios, like, you know, with their 10-year plans or whatever, and trying to keep one game alive for a certain amount of time as opposed to jumping straight into doing another major project like a Cyberpunk 2, which I imagine would be, God, I'm going to be in a fucking home when that game comes out. But, yeah, I mean, CD Projekt Red, we'll see how they go. They're not kind of the unicorn of the video games industry as they used to be anymore. I think that reputation has kind of been tarnished a bit, but hopefully they've learned from their mistakes and we will get something better the second time around.
It's crazy.
We shall see.
Crazy how the only studios that have like any goodwill are the like RPG ones. You got the team with Baldur's Gate. I forget the company. You've got CD Projekt Red because of The Witcher, and then you've got is it Bandai Namco? No, FromSoft with Souls
with
games, yeah, and Elden Ring. Which I'm not going to speak on that game. If I speak, I am in trouble. FromSoft fans are going to come get me. It's not bad. I just hate it because it made me angry, and I suck at it.
He said he wasn't going to speak, and he spoke, and now we're fucked. We're all getting doxxed.
I'll be epic for real. No, you know, I mean, look, I played it. I mean, I beat it a few times. I don't. For me, it's, you know, after beating it, I think the appeal is like the achievement, like the feeling that you have after beating it. Like I just did it, you know. But for me, it's just like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with this anymore. I don't have to play it anymore because I beat it. It's done. You know, I don't know.
I guess it just clicks different with some people.
Yeah, it's sort of like Halo 2 on Legendary. Like I beat it and I was just like, oh, okay, I don't have to play this anymore. Finally, it was terrible. But the difficulty, not the story. I don't want to get attacked by Halo fans now, but Halo,
You mean you don't like the story of Halo 2, man? What the fuck?
you know, I saw. I'm not gonna throw shade, so I won't say their name, but I saw a tweet that really irked me. Something about how Halo 3 is the worst one or something, the worst story.
I'm gonna throw some fucking
Me
hands.
too, dude. That's like the worst take ever, and you and I both know who it is.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. We
chief
know.
of
We know.
bad takes. He's a stinker. You're stinky. You know who I'm talking to right now. All right, you're stinky. I don't like you. You have the worst takes. Go outside, touch some grass. Terrible, awful. You can say
Am
it's
I allowed to say I do agree it's a bit of a step down from Halo 2?
well, yeah,
But it's not the worst, surely.
but you also have
No,
to.
it's not terrible or
It's
anything.
also hard to take a step above Halo 2 because Halo 2 is fantastic. I mean, it's really hard to like take a step above peak. You know, that and there was some like development drama or something, right?
Well, I think Halo 3 was the development for Halo 2 was so shitty that a lot of people jumped ship because Jason Jones was kind of pioneering Halo 2.
Yeah.
And he Staten was obviously quite pivotal in writing the script. But after the development of Halo 2, Jason Jones kind of jumped ship, went to go live I think to quote Marty in one of those god awful god awful Pacific Islands somewhere. But with reference to Australia. Yeah, so I think, or he might have gone to New Zealand or something like that, I think. But like he didn't really want to have much to do with Halo 3's development, and I don't think that. I think it might have been the same time that Joseph Staten was running off to write Contact Harvest as well, the Sergeant Johnson book.
That's right. Yeah.
So he didn't really push the story as much as he did with Halo 2. And so Halo 3's script was kind of written by committee almost. And there was like not a lot of connections between it and Halo 2. Like Lord Hood wasn't in it. Miranda, I think, was in it, but there wasn't like, there wasn't any major deaths or character deaths or anything like that. And it was, yeah, they basically just tried to string together something from what was originally Halo 2's cut ending. And given what they had, I think they did a pretty good job. And Marty came in to, make some cuts, shall we say, in terms of characters.
Yeah.
So Johnson's death, I think Miranda's death might have also been his inclusion too. And yeah, just general sort of finessing, because again, it was written by multiple different people just wanting to try and get what they would consider to be the best product for everyone, rather than focusing it in. So for that, I thought it was pretty good. And it's not like, I think I'm probably quoting myself verbatim for when I've talked about the Halo games before. Like, if Halo 2 is Empire Strikes Back, and Halo 3 is Return of the Jedi, it's still a pretty good closure, I reckon. Like, it closes stuff off pretty well, and it's like, it's a fun time, it's
Right.
not it's not like the ultimate galaxy brain, you're thinking way too deep about it kind of stuff that Halo 2 gets you doing. It's a fun time, and I can respect it for that.
Yeah, I mean, you're just finishing the fight, looking cool while doing it. It's not much more to it than that. The only thing that I can say I did, well, maybe two things, was the way they handled the Prophet. Was it truth or regret? It's one of the two.
Truth.
Okay, yeah. How they kind of made him a loony. I mean, I can kind of see it if it was like he was super stressed or something, but even, at the end of Halo 2, he seemed cool and calm and collected. And then how they sidelined the Arbiter, which was it felt kind of natural, but I mean, the Arbiter is one of my favorite characters in any video game.
Do you remember somebody comparing the Arbiter to having sort of become Chief's pet in a way in Halo 3? I don't remember who it was that said that, but I can kind of see it.
Yeah, he's just, and it's annoying because as a result, I mean, we haven't seen much of Arbiter anyways. I mean, we had Halo 5, but that was terrible. I wish, I'm kind of straying off the point here, but more Arbiter would be nice. But yeah, it was with Halo 3, I think it was solid.
So we were just talking about properties to be excited about, and since we've been talking about Halo, there have been rumors of perhaps a trailer coming out at some point this year.
Oh, okay, I haven't clocked those.
Just rumors, but
For a new
they're
game?
like, gauging the timeline and that sort of thing. plus, they've been doing some hiring at 343 lately. I remember Sketch posted something on Twitter.
Interesting. Yeah,
Maybe
and of course,
look for it, actually.
Infinite is kind of winding down, for lack of a better terminology.
Yeah.
Like, the game isn't done, but it's definitely, you can tell that I think they're putting a cap on it. Yeah, that's not, they're moving away from the seasonal model, and I think that they're gonna keep it alive. They're gonna put it on a drip, but it's not gonna be the number one priority for the studio going forward. I think we can all kind of infer that.
It started and ended the same way, on a drip.
Oh, here we go. It's from Sketch. Lead level designer, lead gameplay designer, lead game designer, audio director, studio technical art director, and lead game systems designer.
Did you say?
Whoa.
Did you say audio director?
Yeah, audio director.
Sell my soul and apply for that real quick.
Yeah, fuck it. Same, dude. I'd make a deal with a certain devil to get that job. That'd be incredible.
Here's the link.
Maybe I just hit Sketch up in the DMs and be like, "Yo, dude, I've some experience."
Does he follow you?
Does he? I don't know. I know that.
In my opinion, it's always worth a shot. I mean, why not?
Hey, bro, hire me, please. I'm so good. I promise. Hire me, bro. Come on.
I'll send him my LinkedIn and all the fucking student films and stuff that I've worked on, and random volunteer TV work and shit. Yeah, no. Oh god, that's a lot of big big roles though. That's kind of concerning.
Lead game and audio director. Yeah, that makes me think they're gonna be they're scaling up.
Why concerning?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? I know that there have been issues with 343 previously in contractors, so I hope that these jobs are ongoing and not people who they're going to bring in for a number of years and throw them by the wayside when the game gets out, like they did with Infinite. Because that was a pretty rough turnover.
It does say full time on the job page.
Okay, well, that's somewhat more promising. You know what? I kind of hope they get Marcus Leto back in to some extent, because I know that EA fired him recently. So the man's looking.
Yep.
He's looking for work.
Get him in, and he can make Chief wear the Mark V again instead of the Mark 6. It's perfect.
Make Mark V great again. Yeah, bring it back.
For real. Dude, I don't know. I just like the helmet. It's more sleek. I feel like it's more... I don't know. I mean, I'm not like a Combat Evolved purist, but you can't deny the Mark V has absolute drip, all right?
It is a gorgeous helmet.
Mm-hmm. It's got the ammo.
I feel like it
pouches.
begs
It doesn't, where does Chief put all... Does he just tuck it up his, where's he...
His prison wallet,
wallet, yeah.
Or whatever, yeah.
I think that was Marty's choice, too. He had mentioned something about ammo, or I think it was, never mind, it was like the casings on the floor or whatever. But yeah, I wonder who they're gonna get for the lead. I feel like when we hear news about that, that's when we'll know if it's gonna be good or not.
Like the project lead.
Yeah, like if we get a guy coming in and his rep is just terrible, it's like Rod Ferguson or something, where he just absolute wish-wash. It's it's not gonna be good.
Well, I mean, because Leto was Leto. He was creative director for Reach, for memory. So I'm just saying he's got the experience. I don't want to be his talking resume right now and go back to Bungie member berries, but I think getting some established grizzled ancient old blood back in the scene would be a good thing, and would be nice too, especially after we lost Joe and Paul Bertone and a couple of others from 343 last year or the year before or whatever it was. I think it also does beg the question, what are they going to do next? Are they just going to do another mainline Halo game? Is it going to be a sequel to Infinite? Is it going to be something else? Is it going to be like a spin-off? Because I don't know if there's there's enough people at 343 to really do like another mainline Halo game yet. I think that might be like almost too ambitious of a project for them to jump right into.
That's kind of what they're known for, though. To be fair, it's just jumping ahead first, not even caring.
Yeah.
It's funny you guys mentioned Leto, though. I just don't remember that Salvatore is also for hire right now because he got kicked from Bungie.
Well, you never know.
Could get him as
I
audience.
don't know that he's job searching or not.
He's gone fishing.
That's true. I'm just saying, maybe he's looking at that audio director position. Like, yes, please give it to me. I'm just
to spite Bungie and fucking Sony.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. Well, no, Staten left and just joined Microsoft, and he was kind of behind the scenes, right? And then
publishing team, I think.
And let him out of the cage for Halo Infinite. We'll give you 2 times the table scraps if you praise our game, Staten. He's like, all right.
Yeah, I almost think it might be like drawing comparisons to other popular franchises though. Say for example Star Wars, right? With the mainline movies, I guess, the Skywalker saga, you had episodes 7, 8 and 9. All of those went very far off the deep end towards the end, and a lot of people didn't like him. And to try and instill a bit of goodwill, you had shows like The Mandalorian and Andor and stuff that kind of brought it back. They did like their own sort of spin-off things that reignited passion in the franchise and did something good, but just different with it. I think you can kind of argue that the same thing happened with like DC as well, right? The DC Extended Universe or whatever the fuck it was called. You had a couple of stinkers like Wonder Woman 84 and the latest Aquaman movie and Black Adam and stuff. But then counter to that, you also had Elseworld stories like the Batman and the Peacemaker TV show and whatever else that were actually pretty good. But like outside of that main like kind of continuity, I guess, maybe they should do something similar for Halo. Like maybe do a couple of spin-off games that like bring people back in, but are smaller in scale and are just like good standalone solid games before diving headfirst into making another big major project like Halo 7 or whatever it's called. But
the idea of that actually gets me excited.
Yeah, I mean that is that's how I would do it.
ODS
is just
they'll do ODST2 and they'll just steal your video, Laper. That's what they're gonna do.
I mean, look, so long as they pay Wernisage and I for it, then absolutely. Yeah. But like there is. It doesn't even have to be 343 doing it, like they can get Creative Assembly to come in and do something like a survival horror game or like a Halo Wars 3 kind of deal.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room for growth and development there for the franchise, just in different directions, so we're not, repeating history, right? Because it feels like 343 is only known for doing mainline Halo games. They jumped right in right away with their first project being the sequel to the most successful, most beloved video game of all time with Halo 3.
Technically, it was CEA. That was their first project.
Yeah, but even then, like, it's a remaster of a mainline game too. So they've only really ever done mainline games.
Didn't they also do support for Reach like they did 343? They did multiplayer support.
Yeah, there was that too.
Yeah. And then of course, the Master Chief Collection, but again, that's remasters of all primarily mainline Halo games. So, and Reach and ODST, but like mainline Halo games, like those big pillar sort of titles, right? Your Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, your Halo 4, 5, and Infinite. Maybe they just need a bit of a break from doing that stuff and doing something else. Like just get the community moving positively, but behind something else, I think is just the main thing to do at this point. Give us the Batman to, Halo Infinite's Justice League, right? Give us something that's a bit different, a bit out of the usual that we've come to expect, but still quintessentially Halo, I think.
Like smaller scale, but very, very finely put together.
Yes, exactly. Just something that will be a banger and will be loved, but doesn't have to be massive in scope, because that's, you know, that's a divide and conquer kind of deal where you've got so many different teams working on different things. Like Halo games, I can imagine, are not easy to make, right? You've got campaign, multiplayer, firefight, forge, theater, co-op, all the different elements. Like, focus on making something good first, then jumping right into another massive project.
I've been saying for years that an Infinity Ward-led ODST game would be fantastic. Having it be like super MW 2019-esque, you know? Tactical kind of, or almost like Siege. Like, that'd be fantastic in my opinion, but that's just me.
I mean, I can't see a universe where Microsoft would want to take Infinity Ward off making Call of Duty games, though, unfortunately. Yeah. But I also heard somewhere that Infinity Ward is like the reason why Modern Warfare 3 got made is because they didn't want to do a Modern Warfare 3.
Understandable after the second one.
Like, well, I mean, history is kind of repeating itself again, right? Because after Modern Warfare 2, the original Infinity Ward didn't have much to do with Modern Warfare 3. It was Sledgehammer coming in to pick up the pieces. Same thing happened again. So, I mean, maybe they'll, you know, put them on to do something else. Just so long as we don't get a Halo game that is a beat-for-beat Call of Duty clone, like a skin. That'd be awful.
I was thinking actually that'd be kind of cool for if it was ODST themed. Like, if it was like Siege,
maybe.
Or, I mean, obviously still have the Halo elements, like, you know, you're fighting brutes and what have you, and the story, and have it be a good follow-up. But I just mean focusing, because I feel like that would help the aesthetic if it was like super COD-esque, is if because then you'd actually feel like a normal guy as opposed to ODST where you can flip a car.
So, yeah. I see what you mean there. That's a good point. I think
more grounded, you know, make the elites and the brutes scarier, like
make them big, like fucking tower over you. Because I think in ODST as well, like, I don't know how much smaller the character is, but it doesn't feel like, it still feels as though you're like
6'3"
head to head with a brute. Sometimes
can flip a car, can tear a machine gun off of a
and walk around faster with it than a Spartan. I love that.
Yeah, they literally just sped them up. It's like they gave a Spartan meth and just, here, put this on, there you go.
Yeah, but yeah, spin-off games. I'm interested to hear, like, Leo, you've got an idea of what you would want a spin-off game to be. Alyx, what's your dream spin-off Halo game?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I mean, honestly, just ODST again, that sort of thing. You're following a story that's parallel to mainline events. Sort of just enriching the mainline story before we get right back to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's true, yeah, because it bridges the gap between 2 and 3. Oh, idea. You're an ODST squad landing on, not Infinite Halo, Zeta Halo. Lord. There you go. And you're there while Chief is doing his thing, but he's on, like, the opposite side of the ring or something. There you go. Bridging the gap.
And we finally get to see ODSTs again.
Yeah.
Yeah, finally, after like 10 years.
Got replaced by the Spartan Force. That's like the worst thing they did. I remember seeing a video. I don't know if it was one of your all's, but it was something like Spartan Force completely get rid of the human element of Halo. I'm just a normal guy in this conflict having to survive because I'm so talented, like I'm so good. It's not because of any augmentations or whatever. It's just skill and luck. They kind of get rid of that with Spartan 4s, which are enhanced and, you know, I mean, not as, you know, godlike as the Spartan 2s, but still. I don't know. I found myself agreeing. I'm like, yeah, you know, Spartan 4s are really stupid.
I think it's, it does take a bit away from that human element and the kind of ground level perspective. And it was also just part of like 343's sort of early initiative to be like, you know, pushing the whole Spartan story thing, right? Like everything was to do with either Master Chief or your Spartan. Like in Halo 4, it was, you know, it was
Spartan
all about your Spartan. And Halo Infinite, it's, you know, Spartan story and all this other stuff. And it's like, can we take a back seat for once and see it from the perspective of someone else? Because the power fantasy in Halo is fun, but it shouldn't be everything. Especially a universe that's this big. and is so well established, it doesn't make a lot of sense to not try and flesh out the universe some more. But anyway,
That's probably why people are still hooked on Halo. There's still so much potential in so many directions you can go.
oh yeah, no, for sure. It's kind of like the video game Star Wars, right? It's just like, such an interesting universe with plenty of like different aspects to it and whatever. So it seems a shame to not expand on it some more. And just to circle back to the first point about the Halo TV show, which I know we've moved past and we don't want to talk about again, is that I think that's where Paramount is kind of getting the Halo show wrong. Is that Halo is more like Star Wars in some respects than it is Star Trek. And Halo, in many respects, on the Paramount also owns Star Trek, but the TV show almost feels like it's like filling in the gaps between different seasons of Star Trek in that respect. Maybe I'm out of there, like I'm not getting the picture right. But anyway, back to the Star Wars thing. They should do more with it. They should do more with the Halo universe instead of just the mainline games. Otherwise, the fans and the community are going to start doing it, which they already have. There's some pretty interesting like little mods and stuff for MCC and whatever that given and like for other games too that make pretty decent Halo spin-offs. So
there's still something for people to hold on to.
Yeah. Hope. There's always hope.
Believe, people, believe.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, I think this is a good ending point. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys want to keep going or?
I'm gonna be honest. It is the middle of the day, and my stomach has been growling very loudly at me. So yeah. I might duck out and grab some lunch if that's okay with you folks.
Yeah, it's 10:30, so that works for me. Man, I work first shift tomorrow. It's gonna be so fun. All right. It's been fun chatting with you all. To everyone that's watching,
I think that went very well for our first recording.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed chatting with you all, and I hope that the audience listening in right now has enjoyed it just as much as I have. If you all have, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I have to do that. Or as Laper puts it, subscribe. You wouldn't. You're way scared. Yeah.
There you go. That's your outro music.